That being said, I was in contact with a number of WNBA coaches yesterday about this topic of the officiating in the WNBA.
Rebecca Lobo has just made a stunning revelation that should have WNBA executives seriously concerned. What the Hall of Famer and ESPN analyst disclosed about Caitlin Clark and the league's officiating issues goes far deeper than anything that's been visible during games.
To get better, specifically the consistency, not only from one game to the next, but the consistency within a game. One coach told me, we tell our players to be as physical as they can possibly be for 40 minutes because we know for 38 of them, they're pretty much going to get away with it. So I think everybody would like to see a tighter whistle and a little bit more freedom of movement.
Rebecca Lobo didn't just speak on how Caitlin Clark has been treated by referees. She revealed what coaches around the WNBA are privately saying, and it paints a troubling picture for the league's future. According to her, behind-the-scenes conversations with multiple coaches point to a serious, system-wide issue. The game, as they describe it, is starting to feel more like a battle for survival, with officiating slipping badly. Coaches are reportedly encouraging players to be extremely physical for the full 40 minutes, knowing that for most of the game, referees are unlikely to intervene or enforce control.
Caitlin Clark is getting an unprecedented amount of defensive attention when you watch her play on the basketball court. I've been going back and watching film from Sabrina Ionescu when she was a rookie, Kelsey Plum when she was a rookie, other players that came in with a lot of hype. None of them were being guarded 94 feet from the basket when they did not have the basketball in their hands. None of them were being guarded 35 to 40 feet from the basket when they didn't have the ball and they were on the weak side of the...
This isn't Rebecca Lobo trying to be sensational or chase attention. She's a highly respected figure in women's basketball, raising serious concerns about a league that could end up damaging its most valuable asset. While much of the conversation has focused on whether Caitlin Clark receives favorable or harsh treatment, Lobo's insight suggests the issue runs far deeper. What she's uncovered points to a much bigger problem, one that could jeopardize everything the WNBA has built around its biggest star.
There's a lot of truth to the extra physicality that Caitlin Clark gets because, I mean, if you just look at it logically, she gets double and triple teamed by more than anyone in the league. So let's just say there's one guard running down and then they catch her in the half court. She's not even being full court pressed. So being full court pressed adds an extra element of being fouled earlier. When you are guarded by 2-3 defenders, then that's 2-3 more times that you are able to be physically fouled, even though not all of the fouls are called. But like what I'm saying is the bottom line is like she's covered way more than any other player. She's scouted way more than any other player. So it just makes sense. But because of that, that's why the officiating around Caitlin Clark does need to be looked at a little harder.
The numbers paint such a clear picture that even the most skeptical WNBA executive can't ignore it. Caitlin Clark's final game of 2024 drew an impressive 2.5 million viewers, making it the most-watched WNBA game ever aired on cable. To add context, games featuring Clark averaged around 1.18 million viewers during her rookie season, while matchups without her brought in only about 394,000 viewers. That gap isn't just noticeable, it represents an entirely different level of audience interest and engagement.
Well, I think you have to look at things a little bit holistically. I think Caitlin Clark is a really hard player to officiate, much like Diana Taurasi was throughout the course of her career, for a couple of reasons. Caitlin Clark regularly gets picked up in the full court. She also gets blitzed more over the course of her career than any player in WNBA history or in that period of time. And she also creates some contact herself on the offensive end of the floor. She is very difficult to officiate because of all of the contact that's happening around her all of the time.
And she is right. There are many coaches that are willing to take these fines, calling out the officiating in the post-game press conferences. Just in this season, I remember Cheryl Reeve commenting on it about how physical they get with Nafisa Collier. I remember Stephanie White commenting on it twice. I remember, there's also Gabby Williams recently commented on it just the other.
Compared to roughly 572,000 the year before, the jump isn't just growth. It's a massive shift in how audiences are engaging with women's basketball. The Indiana Fever, for example, went from averaging around 4,000 fans per home game to more than 17,000, and their regular season finale even had to be moved to a bigger venue to meet demand. These figures aren't just impressive, they signal the emergence of a whole new economic reality for the WNBA. But this is also where things start to look risky for the league. When Caitlin Clark recently missed several games due to injury, the impact was immediate and severe. Ratings dropped sharply, social media buzz slowed down, and storylines that once felt exciting suddenly lost their momentum. Her absence wasn't just noticeable, it had a major, almost damaging effect on overall viewership. Then Caitlin Clark came back, and instantly reminded everyone why she's such a unique draw. In her return against the New York Liberty, she exploded for 25 points in the first half, knocking down 3 deep logo-range shots in just 38 seconds. The performance was so electrifying that even seasoned analysts who've watched decades of pro basketball were left stunned. This wasn't just a strong outing, it was must-watch TV, the kind that has fans rearranging their schedules just to tune in. That matchup with New York peaked at 2.8 million viewers, placing it among the most-watched games in WNBA history. To put that into perspective, the Stanley Cup Finals during the same period averaged around 2.5 million viewers. In other words, a regular season WNBA game led by a rookie outperformed hockey's championship series, something highly unusual, and exactly why what followed should have league officials seriously concerned. Rebecca Lobo, an Olympic gold medalist and one of ESPN's most trusted voices on women's basketball, decided to reveal what she's been hearing from coaches around the WNBA. And what she shared points to a much deeper issue than most people realized. She began by stating the obvious. Caitlin Clark creates unique challenges for referees. The constant full-court pressure, double teams, and physical play she faces on nearly every possession make officiating especially difficult. But then came the real eye-opener. Lobo mentioned that she's spoken with multiple WNBA coaches about the situation, not just a handful, but across the league, and according to her, they all agree that officiating needs to improve. When there's unanimous concern from coaches at the professional level, it signals a much larger problem, a sense that referees may be losing control of how the game is being managed. At that point, it's no longer about a few bad calls. It points to a league-wide breakdown that's shaping how every team prepares, how players approach each matchup, and even how safe the court is for the top talent. According to Rebecca Lobo, the issue goes beyond inconsistency and into something more concerning. She explained that coaches around the WNBA are now actively encouraging players to be as physical as possible for the full 40 minutes because they believe officials won't step in for most of the game. That's not really strategy anymore. It's more like adapting to a system where enforcement has become unreliable and physical play is expected to go unchecked. In that kind of environment, the game shifts away from skill and structure toward endurance and toughness, raising concerns about both competitive balance and player safety, especially for high-profile players like Caitlin Clark. The matchup involving the Connecticut Sun ended up highlighting just how intense and physical this new reality has become. During that game, JC Sheldon didn't just commit a routine foul on Caitlin Clark. The contact escalated into something far more aggressive, with grabbing, face contact, and a hard knockdown that felt closer to a fight than a standard play. Then Marina Mabrey added to the moment with another questionable hit. What made it even more surprising was that neither player was ejected, even though the actions appeared severe enough to warrant flagrant fouls. The sequence stood out because of how obvious it looked: jersey pulling, arm twisting, and heavy contact, while officials chose not to intervene in a meaningful way. Commentators, fans, and even coaches seemed to anticipate ejections, yet none came. The results sent a clear signal about how such physical play is currently being handled. Rebecca Lobo's comments about coaching conversations across the WNBA should be a serious warning for league leadership. When coaches broadly agree that officiating is inconsistent, when players are reportedly being encouraged to play more physically because they expect little enforcement, and when Caitlin Clark is repeatedly treated as a target rather than protected as a key asset, it suggests more than just growing pains. It points to a deeper system failure that threatens the league's progress and stability.